Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that, well, it might sound a bit trivial at first. Men's tie length. Seriously specific rules around it.
Yeah, it sounds niche, but it's one of those details, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get it right, and it just pulls everything together.
Exactly. It shows you're paying attention. So you might be thinking, tie length? Really?
Yeah.
But trust us.
Stick with it, because
Yeah.
getting this seemingly tiny thing right makes a difference.
So that's our mission today, really, to unpack the proper tie length according to a men's style guide and figure out why it's even a rule.
Right, and we're basing this on an article, How Long Should a Tie Be? This is the Proper Length Men's Style Guide.
That's from Michael84, published back in September 2020.
Yep.
And for you listening, if you're someone who likes to get the key info on something interesting fast,
Then this deep dive should do the trick.
we're aiming for that kind of moment,
Yeah.
about something maybe you haven't thought much about.
Okay, let's jump in then. What's the absolute basic rule, the foundation?
The core idea, according to the source, is pretty clear-cut.
Yeah.
Your tie should reach the top of your trousers, right at the waistline.
Okay, so aiming for the waistband.
Ideally hitting the waistband itself. That's the sweet spot.
Got it. Waistband equals bullseye. So how do you know if you've missed? What does too long look like, or too short?
Well, the article gives clear warning signs. If the tip of your tie is hanging down past your trousers,
Definitely too long.
no question. Or if it looks really, really long when you sit down.
Okay.
And here's a big one the article stresses. If you even think about tucking your tie into your trousers,
Oh, no.
it's way too long. And that's just wrong, apparently. A definite style no-no.
Tie tucking is out.
Yeah.
Got it. What about the other way? Too short?
Yeah, what does that look like?
Well, the article says a tie that's too short just stops somewhere high up on your shirt.
Like halfway up?
Yeah, noticeably above the trouser line.
Yeah.
You see this awkward gap.
Right, okay. Easy to spot then.
Pretty much,
Now, some might think, okay, this matters for a full suit, maybe.
but not just casual wear.
Right. But the article says, no, this rule applies even if it's just a shirt and tie. Why is that?
The source makes a point that correct length matters regardless of how formal you are. It's not just about looking neat.
Okay.
A tie that's too short just looks, well, the article says silly.
Ah, okay. Not the look you're going for.
Probably not. And one that's too long looks like a tail. Again, their word. Just kind of sloppy.
Tail. Right. Neither sounds good.
Neither helps you look polished.
And even with a jacket on, buttoned up, the wrong length can still peek out, right?
Exactly. That's a good point the article makes. Even with a button jacket, the very bottom tip might show when you move.
Ah, I see.
So getting that little visible bit right still counts towards that overall, put together look. It shows attention to detail.
Speaking of attention to detail, the source has this great little anecdote, really drives the point home, about school.
Oh yeah, the author's school story. It's pretty memorable. Apparently they were really strict about tie length.
How strict.
Like call you out in assembly strict. If your tie wasn't right, you had to stand up
in front of everyone.
in front of everyone and fix it right there.
Wow. Okay, that definitely says something about how important they thought it was.
It really does. Makes you wonder why that specific length became such a standard, historically.
Yeah, that's intense. Public correction for tie length. But then the article also gives a modern example. Someone who often breaks this rule
Right? It points to Donald Trump. Says he's often seen with his tie worn too long.
explicitly calls it out as breaking the rules.
Yeah, explicitly. Says it goes against style conventions and notes that when he sits down, it looks far too long.
Interesting. A very public figure not following the guideline.
It shows, that not everyone sticks to these rules, even famous people.
Okay, so for someone listening now who actually wants to get it right, what's the practical advice? How do you actually manage to land the tip right on the waistband?
Well, the article suggests it's a bit of trial and error to start.
Okay.
You know how a tie has the wide bit at the front?
The blade.
Right, the front blade, and the thinner bit at the back. The trick is starting with that front blade hanging much lower than the back bit.
How much lower?
Well, that depends. It depends on the knot you're tying. A bigger knot, like a full Windsor, eats up more length.
Right. Okay, so a thicker knot needs more starting length on the front. Makes sense.
Exactly. So you start with the front piece lower.
And then,
Then you tie your knot, but loosely at first. Don't tighten it right away.
okay, check it first.
Yeah, check where the tip is landing. Too long, too short. You loosen the knot slightly and adjust that initial length of the front blade.
Pull it up if it was too long, let more down if it was too short.
Precisely. But the key thing the article stresses is doing this before you pull the knot tight. That's when you fine-tune.
Adjust before you commit. Sounds like it could take a few tries to get the hang of it.
For sure. But the article says, with practice, you'll just get a feel for it.
You'll kind of know how much longer that front bit needs to be for your favorite knot.
Exactly. It becomes more natural, less guesswork.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. The main takeaway. Aim for the waistband. That's your target.
Right at the top of the trousers.
And you can tell if it's wrong. Too long looks like a tail. Too short looks, well, silly.
It hangs awkwardly high.
And even though it seems small, it's kind of fundamental for looking sharp. Suit or no suit.
Yeah, getting it wrong just detracts from everything else.
So, here's something to think about as we wrap up. For you listening. Now that you know the rule, this whole waistband thing, are you going to start noticing ties more?
Good question.
Well,
like on TV, people walking down the street?
Yeah. Will you be checking out tie lengths? And what does it maybe communicate, when someone gets it right or gets it wrong?
Does it signal something about their attention to detail, maybe? Or just that they don't care about that particular rule?
Worth thinking about. It's a new lens to view things through, maybe. Anyway, thanks for diving deep with us on this one.
Yeah, it was interesting.